What's good, fight fans? This is D and welcome back to the Standing 8 Count Fighting channel. I know I'm about 2 days late with my review, but I felt the need now after gathering my thoughts and watching the fight again that I would do my post-fight thoughts on the fight between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. Just for starters, I thought the fight was 8-4 or 7-5 in favor of Golovkin. I thought Canelo won the first 2 rounds, and I gave him rounds 10 and 12. A lot of people I saw online and in a lot of different social media outlets, they thought that Canelo won the first 3 rounds and won the last 3. I didn't see it that way. The first 2 rounds I gave to Canelo mainly because they were feel-out rounds, and Triple G was mostly kind of like stalking and throwing out a light jab. He wasn't really committing to anything too much. Neither was Canelo, but I mean, I gave the first 2 to Canelo mainly because he was throwing the more effective punches. And again, rounds 10, I thought Canelo was countering effectively, and in round 12, he started up the round pretty strong. Not saying he ended it that strong, but his punches in the beginning of the round stood out more so than anything Triple G did throughout the remainder of the round. One thing I noticed about the fight in general is, of course, Canelo's ability to move around the ring. Granted, he never showed that in the past. He was a pretty stationary guy. He had great upper body movement, but he didn't really have the greatest feet in the world. In this fight, he was on his bike a lot. And I think the misconception with a lot of people who were like critiquing and watching the fight, who either saw Canelo won or thought it was really a draw, is of course the way he was moving was pretty effective in the sense that he made Triple G miss a lot. But one thing I noticed is that he wasn't actually, counter punching as effectively as maybe I thought he should have. He did a lot of waiting around. He would let Triple G kind of come in and cut him off in certain times, where he would go to the ropes on his own and let Triple G kind of get off with the jab. And again, he did make Triple G miss a lot, but he wasn't really, in my opinion, countering that well. He did catch Triple G with a couple shots in exchanges and in a counter punching scenario, but it wasn't as much as maybe I thought he could have or should have. Again, he would do a lot of posing against the ropes and let Triple G, just tee off on him. And granted, again, Triple G wasn't landing the most effective shots because the jab was pretty much his most effective punch throughout the whole night. But Canelo, he just moved too much, in my opinion. He didn't really stand his ground, and when he did, he was pretty effective. When he got to the middle of the ring, was letting off combinations, he was landing pretty good. To me, he never really hurt Triple G. There was one shot he landed that was a hellacious shot that Triple G took and kept moving forward. There's another shot that he landed, I believe it was maybe a left hook, that kind of made Triple G stumble. But when you look at the replay, it looked like more of an off-balance shot where he got hit. He stumbled to the side, but he wasn't visibly hurt at all. I think he just kind of caught him with his feet out of position. Throughout the fight, again, the jab told the story. Canelo, he was pretty good defensively. Again, he made Triple G miss a lot of shots. He threw a lot more punches than Canelo did, but I think the percentages favored Canelo. When it came to power punching, I think there was only a 4-punch difference. But again, when it comes to CompuBox, they could be a lot of human errors with that because it's not really a computer-generated stat. It's more humans kind of, I guess, clicking whenever they see a punch land or not land. And again, anything that's not a jab is considered a power punch. So those numbers can kind of misconstrue your idea as to who landed more power shots or who landed the most effective power shots. Canelo, he did well for his first fight at 160. Again, I thought the fight was close. I'm not opposed to the actual draw as a final outcome, although I thought Triple G won it by a round or 2. I guess, of course, most people were outraged because of the scorecard 118-110, which basically meant that Canelo won 10 rounds and Triple G won 2. That clearly didn't make any sense to anybody. So with me, again, the draw, when I first saw the fight, I was kind of upset because they called it a draw, mainly because I thought Triple G won the fight. But again, with the second look, I thought the fight was close, but I still think Triple G won it. It's just, again, most people, when they saw that 118-110, that's what stood out in their mind, and they just kind of dismissed everything else about the fight that they might have saw. The judge who scored it 118-110, Adelaide Bird, I think I watched a few people's YouTube videos, in the rounds that she gave Triple G, a lot of people thought those rounds were Canelo. So it's like, it seemed like she just judged the fight blindly. I don't know what she saw with Canelo that made her believe that he won 10 whole rounds when he was backpedaling most of the fight. And again, to me, he didn't effectively counterpunch as much as he should have or as I expected, because I did a live video a day before the fight, and I thought Canelo would win a unanimous decision, mainly because if the fight was close leading to the final round and there was no knockdowns or no knockouts, it's kind of hard to win a decision against Canelo. So in this particular case, I saw the fight, and even though in my mind I thought Triple G won, I kind of had it set that, okay, they're going to give it to Canelo like I predicted, mainly because the fight was semi-close. So when they said draw, I mean, I was upset, mainly because my main focus was on that 118-110 scorecard. So I know they're talking about a potential rematch. I'm not sure when it's going to be. Most people are saying it's going to happen Cinco de Mayo weekend. That's next year. That's I think about 8 months away. And again, Triple G right now, he's 35, and I don't know when his birthday is, so he might be 36 when that fight rolls around. So he's going to be a little older. I'm assuming that maybe they'll each have a fight in between. I'd like to see one of them either fight Jermall Charlo or Billy Joe Sanders. It doesn't matter who, or Billy Joe Saunders. Sorry, I don't care who they fight, but I don't think they should wait around for months for the rematch. So they should take a fight in between, especially Triple G, considering he's a little older. I don't think it's because he eroded in any way. I just think that he's fighting better competition, which is why he's not getting the knockouts people expect, or he's not looking as great as some people thought he would against Canelo. Canelo, I heard, from what I hear, he's not planning on fighting anytime for the rest of the year. Hopefully he changes his mind and fights somebody, a top level middleweight, to kind of, just get more fights under his belt under that weight, because technically this is his only real middleweight fight. Every other fight he had before here was either at 155, and then he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at 164.5. So I think he should fight another middleweight, maybe David Lemieux. I don't think he should really fight Danny Jacobs or Jermall Charlo, because he may not come out of that fight with the win, depending on where they fight. I would like for him to fight those guys, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think they're going to risk him potentially losing before that rematch with Triple G. And again, Triple G, I really don't want to see him lose either leading up to that fight, but I just want him to fight somebody in between. They shouldn't sit around for months just waiting and preparing for a rematch. So those are my thoughts. Again, I thought Triple G won it either 8 rounds to 4 or 5 to 7 to 5. I'm not opposed to the actual scorecard, the final decision being a draw in terms of the fight itself, but again, that 118-110 made no sense at all. Hopefully they fight fighters in between time before they eventually rematch. Again, Billy Joe Saunders, I hope he steps up to the plate so that, when they do have a rematch, that, he would have essentially lost his title to one of them, so he can have a complete unification rematch and have an undisputed champion at 160. So let me know what you guys think of the fight. You can always comment, share, subscribe. It was a pretty good fight. Again, a lot of people didn't expect this outcome, but when you have 2 elite fighters, you should kind of expect the fight to be how it was, regardless of what the final outcome was in terms of the score. So again, it was a great fight. They both held a good account of themselves, and we'll see what happens in the future. Again, this is Standing 8 Cop Fighting Channel. You guys have a great week.